just kick off. Lovely to see you here again at the conference this year, Jonathan. You were far more positive this year than I've heard you for the last couple of years. Can you give me a little bit of a thinking why you've changed your tune a bit?
Sure. I believe that we're actually going to see one of the strongest rates of economic growth in the next decade that any of us have seen for perhaps 30 to 40 years. That's predicated upon my view that the United States is finally turning the corner after 5 years of economic and financial healing, where we're seeing the housing market in the United States recover very, very strongly. Automobile sales back to levels that we saw before the crash. And also consumer and business confidence are improving as well. So all in all, my forecast for the US economy is for about 3% growth going forward, which is materially higher than the consensus expectation.
Yes, and Japan's always another story where you've got a different view maybe to others there, and they're actually getting things together now.
Very much so. I mean, in fact, it's very nice to be able to talk about it today because it's for the first time in a very, very long time I've expressed a positive view on Japan. I think Shinzo Abe, the new Prime Minister in Japan, is a game changer. When he was elected on December the 16th, he won an overwhelming majority in the lower house, and I think you'll see the ruling party, the LDP, win a majority in the Senate in the forthcoming upper house election in July. Ultimately, I think the Japanese economy is going to see much more robust growth over the next 12 to 24 months, which is just great news for the Japanese, but also for the global economy.
So this time it really is different?
Well, those are the most dangerous words in the investment vocabulary, as you know only too well. But actually, times are changing in Japan, as Bob Dylan once sang. And I really do believe we're seeing a restoration or almost a renaissance of the Japanese economy, which is just wonderful news all round.
Yes, and China, it's slowing down. People get concerned about that, but you're saying don't worry?
Look, I'm saying don't worry about China too much. The bottom line is it's the second largest economy in the world now. And you cannot conceivably sustain growth rates of 9 to 10% when you are an economy of the size of 8.3 trillion US dollars or thereabouts. So what we're going to see is a continuing rebalancing of the Chinese economy away from an excessive reliance on exports and fixed asset investment growth, and a greater contribution from household consumption, a deceleration of growth towards 7% thereabouts. In fact, 5 to 10 years from now, we'll see 6% growth. That's because the Chinese economy is so large. The other challenge for China is high levels of pollution. So there's a greater emphasis now on the quality of growth rather than the quantum of growth. But all in all, I do not subscribe to the hard landing thesis for China. I see growth of around 7 to 7.5% this year and next.
And with Europe, it seems like it's just a place to go for a holiday now. We forget about it.
Well, Europe is very much a case of muddling through. It's a wonderful place to go on holiday. I'm going there, in fact, on Monday in just a few days' time. I'm a great believer in Europe in terms of its sense of history and as you just said, a tourist destination. But ultimately, they've got too much debt. What does that mean? It means that growth is going to be very, very weak over the next 2 to 5 years. But ultimately, in fact, you're going to see an improvement, I think, even in the European economy. I also do not subscribe to the potential dissolution of the Eurozone, and that's a big issue for.
If we've got this far through Greece, I mean,
yeah.
You know, that's going to hold together, isn't it?
I think it is going to hold together. There's too much political capital invested in the so-called Euro project, and ultimately the European Monetary Union will be held together. I'm also a big fan of the President of the European Central Bank, Mario Draghi, and following his "we'll do whatever it takes" speech in June, July last year, I think we're actually through the worst when it comes to Europe.
And just to finish up, I was really interested in your comments that we're actually moving into an era which will see unprecedented growth and prosperity, which we haven't seen before, obviously. Yes. Unprecedented. You really believe that?
Yes. I think we're about to see an era of enlightenment and opportunity, the likes of which we've never seen in history. Why? Because we are ideologically all on the same page. We're all in this together. The degree of collaboration and cooperation between the great nations in the world is quite extraordinary today. I have a very profound respect for the new leadership in China. I have a profound respect for the leadership in the United States. Following the Sunnylands Summit in California, I think we're going to see a better relationship between the two great powers, the United States and China. But ultimately, all around the world, technology is uniting people. It's creating a greater degree of connectivity and transparency, and the information playing field is now much more level. All of those things mean to me that we're going to see much better levels of growth in the years and the decade ahead, and I think the universe of investment opportunity today is the largest we've ever seen in history.
And from an investment perspective, from a portfolio perspective, it's
Yes.
Sell bonds, buy shares.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Equities are a call option on growth, prosperity, and opportunity. Bonds in this environment are a call option on depression, deflation, and everything else that is horrible.
Thank you very much for that, John.
It's a pleasure.
That's excellent, and I look forward to seeing you again next year.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
That's excellent. Thank you. No, all good?
Excellent.
Yeah. It was really interesting today. Yeah. So where are you going to in Europe?
London and Spain.
Okay.
I'm going to see the pain in Spain.
Whereabouts in Spain?
I'm going to an island. Yeah, Mallorca.
Oh, I know it well.
Do you?
I used to do a lot of yachting, and we were based in Mallorca for a while.
Colorado?
Oh, I used to race big yachts, like.
But did you go into a port called Colorado in Mallorca?
Probably,
You
yeah.
would have done.
Yeah.
You would have done.
We had,
I spent some of my misspent youth there.
well, I spent.
That's where all
I
the
spent-
sailing boats went.
Yeah, well, we were one of them. I spent a bit of.
What years?
In the 80s. It was a long time ago.
Hang on, no. Tell me the year, because I was.
Well, because I left and I flew out and I was in Greece in 1987.
Oh no, I was before that.
So it was about 86, 85.
I was 81.
We had a lot of fun. It's a fantastic.
I'm going back there. I'm going back to the.
Yeah, he's great.
Did you find some life?
Downstairs in the
in the
it was
car
a bit-
park.
It was a bit like
We
a
had a
drag.
Ferrari parked that way, and I was nestled between a Ferrari and an Aston Martin. And I said, if you invest, I said, if you invest with me, this is what you can have.
Yeah, it was actually really a bit like a drug dealer's handover.
And I opened the boot, and there was 100 kilograms of cocaine. And he said, that's a wrap.
So was it your car? Did you drive up to that?
Yeah.
In the Aston Martin?
Oh yeah, of course. Ferrari.
Yeah, the Aston Martin's getting work done on.
Yeah.
James has got the moment. Well, thank you for doing that.
It's good, it's a pleasure. I don't even know if I've given you a card.
I've got plenty of your cards.
Have you? All right. Can I have one of yours then? That's all right.
We should say good day before you go.
Yeah. I've seen you there and I thought, I didn't know when you were going. Oh, yes, to the video.